part 2. That would be 4, 2. Part 2 of Are You in Your Heart Challenge. And hopefully this is for those that have taken part 1. If you missed part 1, you can find it on my YouTube channel or go back to your Monday email and it will be on there. So hopefully people are finding this useful. I was so touched by one of my clients literally last week said that this practice, or this part of the challenge that I'm just about to share, this practice really helped her daughter through some quite challenging mental health hurdles. And when I hear about these practices being offered to children, to families, as a guide, as a support blanket, and them really being helpful and helping to regulate a child, a teen, it really blows me away, because it is as powerful as someone, struggling with suicidal versus not. For example, myself struggling with autoimmune versus not. And, life gets to be lived and enjoyed and embraced, and I feel like it's our birthright to be able to step into deeper joy, elevation, love, euphoria, all of the juicy parts. And it is also a factor of the human experience that sometimes we have the opposite of that, and long periods of enduring pain and hardship and struggle, and perhaps not wanting to be here. And I know certainly in the circles that I move in, there are quite a lot of beings that really feel like they don't belong on Earth. They feel alien, or perhaps they're from a different star constellation, a different planet, and they're struggling to integrate into humanity, and that brings up the part of them that doesn't want to be here and wants to go to the stars, to go into a different life, and that would be home, because finding home in this physical body is just too challenging. And when these practices help, and then you have beings, people that are like, oh, now you've explained it like this, I can be in this body, I can be here. There's a light at the end of the tunnel that says, now I understand how to find my home here, how to find my goodness, how to integrate. And then you start attracting those beings that are also in that space. And then you find your tribe and your family, because before that, it's extremely lonely, because your reality will reflect how you feel inside. And if that's, I'm so alien here and I'm so alone and I just want to leave, that will be the continued experience until there is something else. So really, really beautiful. And I truly hope that this challenge will be serving you as much as I know and have feedback that it has served other people. So I thought I'd start with that. And for those of you on the medicine wheel or thinking about doing the medicine wheel, for me, it is a deeper journey from head to heart. Doing the medicine wheel, alchemizing 4 corners of consciousness, is learning how to be a being. It's like the 4 parts of consciousness in fear and in the head, which is what usually happens habitually in this life that we're in. And then how to do that consciously from the heart. How do you move through the 4 corners of consciousness consciously from your heart. So doing the medicine wheel will give you the subtle information that you need to be a coach, to be a healer, to be a practitioner, or if you're like me, that you're really struggling with something like autoimmune and you're like, I can't get on top of this, then it would be a good idea to do the medicine wheel. So for those that really need the in-depthness, or that want to hold space for others, they know that they want to be a transformational coach or a shamanic practitioner or any kind of space holder, I would say doing the medicine wheel is such an integral part of understanding the human experience and understanding all the four corners of consciousness, journey from head to heart. And the next almost enrollment onto the medicine wheel will be it's end of August. So for those that are like, why are we doing a Heart IQ challenge and a Heart IQ event? Because it's before the next part of the medicine wheel. So if those of you that are on my mailing list wanting to be a shamanic practitioner, wanting to do the medicine wheel, you can enroll onto August's one and start your journey with the energy now. But the official training where you complete and get your practitioner certification certificate so that you can get insurance will not be until the beginning of September. Just for those out there that need to know that. But for me, if you're doing the medicine wheel, if you're any kind of coach or holistic practitioner, working with Christian and doing Heart IQ is going to really project your work, your beingness, who you attract into your space, who you can help and support, because his work is so, I don't want to say the future, but it's the energy that humanity are moving into and moving towards. Profound. So the next part of the challenge, the next challenge 2 exercise of Are You in Your Heart, is called A Part of Me Is, and That's Okay. And this is the second step in integrating your emotions, because we did somatic track to start with, so that brings you into your body. You don't have any story or chat or head talk about judging why you're feeling. You are just somatically tracking in the body and being with what is. And then the second part of that is to acknowledge the emotions that have come up around that. Right? So you would acknowledge, oh, and a part of me is perhaps judging this arm that's tense and contracted, and I'm in anxiety over that, and that's okay. So you would then, once you've named and somatic tracked your parts of the body, you would then go on to naming the emotions that have come up or how you feel, and saying then, and that's okay, and acknowledging all of your parts. So it's not like this arm is tense and I'm in fear around it and I've judged it and it's giving me anxiety. I am the anxiety, and then I'm consumed with the anxiety. So it's sort of moving away from whatever sensation or emotion comes in, that you are that is consuming you and taking you down this fear hole. Does that make sense? So this is an awareness practice of taking all of your parts and just being with them. So a part of me is breathless and in fear, and that's okay. A part of me is in my head remembering when I had a panic attack before and I'm scared, and that's okay. Right? So whatever emotion is alive, part of me is angry, and that's okay. A part of me doesn't want to be here and feels like an alien, and that's okay. A part of me is soft and wants to cry, and that's okay. Right? And this will allow you to almost be with all of the parts of your human experience, and kind of it's holding space for yourself. So if I'm talking in terms of medicine wheel practice, this would be alchemizing your victim, or a section of how to be with your victim and how to alchemize your victim. Because the victim consciousness part of us, whenever we're met with some kind of resistance of a feeling, so anger has come up, but then there's judgment and fear around it because I saw Dad angry when I was 6 years old, and that was not okay, and I didn't want to be that, and I judged him. Therefore, when anger shows up in my body, I judge it and I try and push it away because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be consumed by anger. I don't want to be taken over by rage. I don't want to yield or surrender to this emotion because it scares me. And then the more that one resists an emotion, it's almost like the more power it has and the more it can take. And it's the resistance with what's going on that's actually consuming you. So it feels like then that is all that you are. Whereas this practice allows you to be with the parts. And instead of like, I am the anger, it's a part of me can feel that energy is here, and that's okay. But it's also covering a part that is softer and wants to cry, because anger often goes over grief. And when you take that part off, it's like acknowledging your victim voice, holding your space for yourself as you look at all of these parts and say, that's okay, and that part's okay, and this part is okay. It's like all of you is allowed to be here. And then your victim, it's like you're putting yourself, your nervous system, in a sense of safety, which is what your victim is unconsciously attempting to do. It's just doing it in a really ineffective way. Saying, if I prove myself right, then I'll feel safe. But when one looks at all the parts and says, actually, this is okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, you're dropping yourself into deeper sense of safety and security and holding yourself, so your victim part isn't freaking out. I really hope that this is landing and making sense, and I'm not delivering it in a really confusing manner. So we'll do an example. And this would be just to take a read of your present moment, exactly as we did the first exercise. So I like to have a hand on my chest and a hand just below my belly button, taking a breath into my pelvic bowl, feeling my sit bones, breathing as deeply as I can. Just drop into my body. And I can say, a part of me has sped up, and I judge that. I judge that as negative, and that's okay. Hearing myself say that, a part of me relaxes. It's like a waterfall inside me, and that's okay. And a part of me actually feels pressure that I want this exercise to be helpful and land and serve people. And a part of me feels this this pressure of getting it right. And that's okay. And as I say that, part of me softens and wants to cry. A younger part feels seen and wants to cry, and that's okay. And it's almost like this is a really lovely end wave to the exercise, because for me this part 2 is really about being gentle with the self and allowing when one holds space for oneself, it allows my heart to open and younger parts to express themselves, be seen, be felt. My tender parts that are quite often hidden under conditioned walls of perceived safety. And certainly a big part of my journey from head to heart is then allowing myself to learn from the wisdom of these softer parts that want to come through my heart, that have been hidden from the world because of this thick conditioning, almost fakeness, and my head pretending to keep myself safe, or doing how it knows best to keep itself safe, but it's not really keeping itself safe, it's keeping me blocked and at arm's length. It's keeping me in fear and hidden from the world. Whereas when I do these practices and I can come into a sense of safety, these softer parts can go, hello, I can be in the world as well. And there's a real beauty in that flowering and birthing. And then I can be vulnerable and show all of me and I feel integrated and healthy. And it's like my life force is flowing, like that sacred geometry, apple core. It's all flowing, rather than these big blocks where stagnant energy has just been stuck, and then it tends to deplete me, and I'm therefore then in a state of depression or ill health or denseness. So for me, being gentle with the self is really allowing this life force to flow, to be vulnerable, to be seen. And it's only scary because we don't normally do it. Or I find it to me, it only seems scary because I'm not used to it. I don't normally do it. And then when I do it, the life force and the liberation is incredible. But I'm like, oh, it wasn't a real fear. It was just an idea of fear, if that makes sense. Out of, no, you can't do this because it's not safe, but actually it's better than safe. And I don't know if that fully makes sense, but to me, one would just need to experience one's own heart being available, and have your own journey through this exquisite gift of being human. Yeah. And this exercise has really helped people struggling. And it does work as well with children navigating their emotions, because I don't have too much time to go into it right now, but emotions trapped in fear can be felt through the channel of love. And emotions are scary because they're judged and resisted. But when one understands emotional agility, understands their emotional range and system, emotions can be really quite beautiful teachers. And often when we've had and experienced emotional pain, there's a big protective wall, and we want to hide and resist emotions or suppress emotions because it's just too much, because we were never actually taught how to be with it, how to navigate it through the channel of love. And it's all stuck in the channel of fear. And then it gets overwhelming, and then it gets to the point where we're like, I don't know what to do with this, I don't want to be here. Or it gets to the point of, you know, my body having autoimmune flares, and there's just so much inflammation. My body is going, what do we do? Right? And this is certainly one channel that's really helpful, mental health wise, physical health wise, really understanding emotions so that they don't need to be suppressed anymore. They can come out in healthy ways through the channel of love. You know, anger doesn't need to be rage stuck in fear. Anger can be processed very healthily, 100%. So if a part of you is angry, it really is okay. There just is allowing the body time and knowledge and wisdom to learn how to process these parts in a really safe and held container. So please do give part 2 a go for yourself, because this is really effective in emergency situations when you need to tell yourself your victim is trying to take over, and you say, actually, hold on, a part of me is like this, and that's okay. You know, you are not consumed by your emotions. It might seem like that when they're trapped in fear, but a part of you can be angry, and that's okay. A part of you can be in rage, and that's okay. A part of you is in grief, and that's okay. Right? And naming all your parts and just letting your consciousness know that's okay. So please take a minute, have a go, record yourself so that you remember the exercise. And have a lovely, beautiful rest of your day. Upichai.